Yes, a warm welcome to all. In this session, we are going to discuss GMains 2020 January 9th conducted examination, Shift 1 paper, chemistry part. This is Divakaran sir from Professor P.C. Thomas classes, Thrissur, Kerala. Can we start? Ready? Yes. First question. That is the first question. The KSP for following dissociation. KSP for the following dissociation. That is PbCl2 giving Pb2 plus 2Cl minus given as 1.6 into 10 power minus 5. So the dissociation is PbCl2 gives you Pb2 plus 2Cl minus, for which KSP value given 1.6 into 10 power minus 5. Which of the following choices for a mixture 300 ml 0.134 molar lead nitrate, 300 ml 0.134 molar lead nitrate and 100 ml 0.4 molar NaCl. We have to find out which choice is suitable. So Q versus KSP, some relations are given, something commended, not enough data provided. That is a false statement, all of you know, because the data is enough to identify. Let us try that. See, the concentration of lead, the concentration of Pb2 plus available 300 ml 0.134 molar lead nitrate. You are mixing. You are mixing with 100 ml 0.4 molar NaCl. So the concentration of Pb2 plus, it will be see 0.134 into 300 ml divided by, see the final volume is 300 plus 100. This is the final concentration after mixing, which you have taken 0.134 molar 300 ml. So molarity into volume in liter. It is here, it is in milliliter divided by the final volume. Similarly, concentration of Cl minus, you see that it is 0.4 into 100 ml divided by again 300 plus 100, that is the total volume. And that you need to take square. So this is going to be 0.134 into 300 by 400, it will be 3 by 4 into 0.4 into 100 divided by 400. 0.4 into 100 divided by 400, the square. That will come out to be 3/4 of this value will be somewhat 0.1. 0.1 into, here it is going to be again 0.1 square. So the net result will be in the order of 10 power minus 3. And look at the KSP value, it is in the order of 10 power minus 5. So KSP value in the order of 10 power minus 5. While this is IP value. IP value, you know, it is called a Q here. Q means reaction quotient, or it is simply ionic product. Ionic product value, Q value, you find it greater than KSP. Q value is greater than KSP, and you know that is causing precipitation. That all we don't have to discuss. The answer is option C. Q value is greater than KSP. Right? Next question. 27. The correct order of heat of combustion for the following alkadienes. See, there are 3 alkadienes given, A, B, C, and is asked for the correct order of heat of combustion. Please understand, heat of combustion has some relationship with the stability. heat of combustion has got some relation with the stability. Heat of combustion. We can say it is somewhat inversely related to stability. So greater the stability of the molecule, lower will be the heat of combustion. So which is more stable? Which is more stable? You can understand the option A, which is the diagram. You can see it is given like this. This is a completely trans product. Here it is trans and here it is also trans. Hope you understand. See, hydrogen here and hydrogen here. The bulky group is on the opposite side. Here, hydrogen here and hydrogen coming here. So, both the configuration over the double bond, it is trans. And we know trans is more stable. So, the first compound given, both the configurations are trans and that is most stable and that will have the least heat of combustion. So, A must be minimum. So, we can eliminate two choices. Option C we can eliminate, option D we can eliminate. Now it is with the A and B only. Now, which is least stable? See, both the trans is most stable, both the cis will be least stable, which is both the cis. You can see the third compound. The third compound which is given like this. Look at the double bonded area. We find a hydrogen coming here and hydrogen coming here. So that part is cis. A hydrogen coming here and a hydrogen coming here. That is also cis. So among the alka diene given, you can find the first compound is both the trans and the last compound is both the cis. Right? So the minimum heat of combustion will be for this one and maximum heat of combustion will be for that one, and the correct answer is A minimum and A minimum, C maximum. That is the correct answer. Right? Next question. According to the following diagram, A reduces BO2 when the temperature is, a question based on Ellingen diagram from the chapter Principles and Process of Extraction of Elements, Thermodynamic Principles of Metallurgy. Ellingen diagram based question. You can find the graph for A is coming on top and graph for B is coming at the bottom. You might have seen in the textbook the diagram concerned to aluminium oxide, aluminum oxide and magnesium oxide. The diagram came like that. You might have seen in the textbook. So the point is, A can reduce BO2 when the temperature is. See, A can reduce BO2 when the delta G value for A oxide comes below, that is high negative, compared to that of B oxide. That means it is possible. Around this temperature, and when you go beyond that temperature, when you go beyond the temperature of 1400 degrees Celsius, you can find A diagram is coming down and B diagram is going up. AO2 diagram coming down and BO2 diagram going up. That means it becomes more negative. It becomes more negative beyond the temperature 1400 degrees Celsius for the A oxide component. So what we want is A reduce BO2. A reduce BO2 when the value for AO2 coming more negative. And that is possible only when the temperature exceeds 1400 degrees Celsius. It is a textbook question only. Instead of the given elements there, it is commented A and B here. That's all. The answer is more than 1400 degrees Celsius. Correct answer option B. A textbook question only, direct question. Next. So what is the logic of Ellingen diagram? Ellingen diagram tells us who can reduce whom at what temperature. Which element, which species can reduce which oxide at what temperature. That is explained by a Lincoln diagram. According to the graphical explanation in the diagram, somebody coming down, the graph coming down, that can reduce the one species which are lying on top. So that happens for A and B oxygen beyond the temperature 1400 degrees Celsius, and that is the correct answer. Next one. Boron. Boron has a smaller first ionization enthalpy than beryllium. All of us know boron has got a smaller first ionization enthalpy than beryllium. Consider the following statements and give the correct statement. Give the correct statement. We know there is an abnormality between boron and beryllium. There is an abnormality between nitrogen and oxygen. What is the correct reason for boron-beryllium abnormality? First statement. It is easier to remove 2p electron than 2s electron. In boron and beryllium and boron, you know it is 1s2, 2s2 configuration in beryllium, while it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p1 configuration for boron. That is the reason. That is the reason. First one, it is easier to remove 2p electron than 2s electron. Yes, it is easier to remove 2p electron than 2s electron. That's a true statement. 2p electron of boron more shielded from the nucleus by the inner core of electrons than in 2s electrons of beryllium. 2p electron of boron more shielded. It is more shielded. When the shielding effect increases, effect increases, the control of nucleus decreases. So that is yet another reason. Third one, 2s electron has more penetrating power than 2p electron. First statement is substantiated by the third statement. First statement is substantiated by the third statement. That is also correct. Atomic radius of boron is more than beryllium. No. Moving from left to right, atomic size decreases. So this is wrong. The other three statements are correct. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That is the correct statement. Option C. 1, 2, 3 are the correct. This is the correct answer. Next question. If the magnetic moment of dioxygen species is 1.73 Bohr magneton, it may be 1.73 Bohr magneton means there is one unpaired electron. According to the equation, all of you know, mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton, the spin only magnetic moment. So when n equal to 1, you will get the value root of 1 into 1 plus 2, that is root 3. Root 3 is 1.73 to that range. So number of unpaired electron, one unpaired electron, the value will be, the magnetic moment value will be 1.7 something. Suppose n equal to 2, it is mu is equal to some 2.8 something. Suppose n equal to 3, mu value will be some 3.8 something. Suppose n equal to 4, mu value will be some 4.8 something. Suppose n equal to 5, mu value will be some 5.9 something. That way you can easily memorize the number of unpaired electron. Suppose it is 4, the magnetic moment will be 4.8, 4.9 in that range. So here the magnetic moment is 1.73. That means unpaired electrons is 1. So which species has got unpaired electron 1? All of you know regarding molecular oxygen, there are 2 unpaired electrons and is ending up in that way. Pi star 2px1, pi star 2py1. There are 2 unpaired electrons in dioxygen and hence it is paramagnetic. Here we are looking for 1 unpaired electron. So O2 minus can be the answer. O2 minus can be the answer because in O2 there are 2 unpaired electrons ending up with the pi star 2px1, pi star 2py1. When one more electron is added, that one electron will get paired. So remaining 1 unpaired electron. So O2 minus can be the choice. Then O2 plus also can be the choice. So the answer is definitely option A. O2 minus, you are adding 1 electron. So among the 2 electron, one get paired up. In O2 plus, you are removing 1 electron. Among the 2 unpaired electron, you are removing 1. So 1 is remaining. So O2 minus O2, there are 2 unpaired electron. O2 minus, it is 1 unpaired electron because you added 1. O2 plus, again 1 unpaired electron because you have removed 1. Okay, that's the answer. Option A, O2 minus and O2 plus. Next. De Broglie wavelength of an electron in the 4th Bohr orbit is, the de Broglie wavelength of an electron in the 4th Bohr orbit is, you know, 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. A very famous relation, all of you know, 2 pi r is equal to n lambda, right? Or you can derive it from the angular momentum equation. You can derive it from the angular momentum equation. 2 pi r is equal to n lambda, right? Now here we are talking about the 4th orbit, and you know the relation for r. Rn is equal to A0 into n square. So it is 2 pi r. R is the 4th orbit. So it will be R4. R4 is equal to A0 into 4 square. So it is A0 into 4 square equal to n equal to 4. 4 into lambda. We are looking for what is lambda. So you easily get lambda equal to 1 4 cancels. Lambda is equal to 8 pi A0. Lambda is equal to 8 pi A0. That is the answer. Hope it's clear. Next. X melts at a low temperature and is a bad, so it's melting at a low temperature and is a bad conductor of electricity in both liquid and solid state. See, zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide is an ionic solid. We want to find out what is X. Zinc sulfide cannot be because it is ionic substance which will maintain high melting point. Mercury is a metal which maintain low melting point. But bad conductor of electricity. No, it is a metal. Now silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is a covalent material, high melting point. Its structure is similar to diamond, high network solid. And the answer is option D, molecular solid, carbon tetrachloride. Carbon tetrachloride is a molecular solid. Molecular solids generally maintain low melting temperature and they are bad conductors of electricity. Answer is carbon tetrachloride. Next. The major product Z obtained in the following reaction scheme. Major product obtained in the following reaction scheme. You are given with the metabromoaniline. Metabromoaniline diazotized. So metabromoaniline is diazotized. So the result will be N2 plus Cl minus. You get this. That is X. Metabromoaniline. This molecule is diazotized. You see NaNO2HCl at a low temperature. That is diazotization, where NH2 group will be converted to diazonium chloride. So you get that converted to diazonium chloride. Now it is treated with the cuprous bromide, Cu2Br2, cuprous bromide. That is Sandmeier's reaction. Sandmeier's reaction, and the result Y. Y is there comes bromine. There comes bromine, and already there is a bromine here. So we got metadibromobenzene. This is Y. This is Y. Now that is treated with the nitration mixture. This is treated with the nitration mixture. Concentrated nitric acid and concentrated sulfuric acid. Nitration mixture. So there will be nitration. When there is nitration, all of you know, this is halogen. Halogen are deactivating group, but ortho-para directing group. Now, the para position of, this is both of them are ortho-para directing. So, para position of this one, ortho position of this one. So, this position, you will get nitro product, and the correct answer is option B. Option B. See, the para position for this, ortho position for this is ortho position. Now para position, this one. This ortho position is this one. So for this particular point has got a speciality. This is ortho for this and para for this. While this position, you know, it is highly hindered. This position is highly hindered. So the answer will be option B. Next. A complex X of composition CrH2O6 Cl n times. CrH2O6 Cl n times has a spin-only magnetic moment 3.83 Bohr magneton. 3.83 Bohr magneton means there are 3 unpaired electrons. It reacts with the silver chloride, so chlorine is available outside. It reacts with the silver chloride, that means chlorine is available outside the complex pair. And shows geometrical isomerism, the UPSC nomenclature is. See, in order to perform 3 magnetic moment, 3.83 magnetic moment, it has to be 3 unpaired electron. Chromium giving 3 unpaired electron. You know chromium is D5S1, 3D54S1. In order to show 3 unpaired electron, it must be chromium 3 plus. It must be chromium 3 plus. There we get 1 electron gone, 2 more gone. It is D3 configuration. D3 configuration, and the number of unpaired electrons will be 3. Number of unpaired electrons will be 3. So this is chromium 3 plus there. Therefore, the complex is CrH2O 6 times Cl(n) becomes Cl3. Why? Because this is neutral. In order to come 3 plus here, there must be 3 chloride. Now, what is the formula for the complex? 1 chlorine at least should be outside. 1 chlorine at least should be outside. And it must show geometrical isomerism. So the probable formula will be this one. CrH2O 4 times Cl2 Cl dot H2 dot 2H2O. That could be the formula. Now you have the complex MA4B2. MA4B2 can show cis-trans isomerism. MA4B2 can show cis-trans isomerism. Now 1 chlorine is available outside. Therefore, it can give reaction with the silver nitrate. Right? So what is the name of that complex? What is the name of the complex? Hexa aqua chromium 3 out. This is not. Tetra aqua dichlorido chromium 4. Chromium 4. It is wrong. Dichlorido tetra aqua. That is wrong. Aqua should come first. Moreover, the oxidation state is wrong. The answer must be option D. Let us examine tetra aqua dichlorido chromium 3 chloride dihydrate. That is the correct answer. Tetra aqua dichlorido chromium 3 chloride dihydrate. That is the correct answer. Right? Next. A chemist has 4 samples of artificial sweeteners A, B, C, and D. To identify these samples, he performed certain experiments and noted the following observations. The observations are A and D both form blue-violet color with ninhydrin. A and D both form ninhydrin test. You know ninhydrin. This is ninhydrin, which is giving a test for amino acids, alpha amino acids. This is ninhydrin, which gives a positive test with the amino acid group. Then, second one. So, A and D contain amino acid group. Blue-violet color with the ninhydrin. Ninhydrin is going to give you a test for amino acid group. So, A and D contain amino acid group. See, this is a textbook question, but the structures given in the textbook, you have to remember and you have to know the characteristics of those molecules. Anyway, I have put those structures available here on the board. I have put those structures. This is taken from the NCERT textbook. It is put there in the board. You can find. See, A and D. A and D contain amino acid group. A and D contain amino acid group. Right? See, it can be this one. See, aspartame. It can be aspartame. It can be allitame. Both are containing amino acid groups, which can give you ninhydrin test. So A can be, while here it is not. While here it is not. So aspartame and allitame can be giving that one, A and D. Now, Lysine extract of C gives positive silver nitrate test. Lysine extract of C gives positive silver nitrate test, but negative Prussian blue test. Positive silver nitrate test means it contains a halogen. It contains a halogen. Halogen containing, it could be sucrose. Sucrose contain halogen. And it does not give Prussian blue test. That means there is no nitrogen. There is no nitrogen. Cyanide group, it won't give cyanide group. So, C could be sucralose. C could be sucralose. Now, Lysine extract of B and D. Lysine extract of B and D gives positive sodium nitroprusside test. Sodium nitroprusside test is given when there is sulfur is present. Sulfur is present. B and D. See, there is sulfur here. There is sulfur available here. There is sulfur available here. Now there is confirmed this is D. This is D because that gives you ninhydrin test and that gives you sulfur test. Lysine test for sulfur. So that is D. So definitely this is A. So this is A, that is D. And what about C? This is C and this is B. So the answer is aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, allitame. Option A is the correct answer. So keeping a knowledge regarding the characteristic of the molecular entity which is dealt in the last chapter, Chemistry in Daily Life, artificial sweeteners, aspartame, saccharin, sucralose. Sucralose is a trichloro derivative of sucrose. So understanding those characteristics of the molecule only can give you this answer. Anyway, to explain these things, I have put that structures taken from the textbook. It is available in the board. You can refer to the textbook regarding the characteristics of this test. And this one test is basically not referred in the textbook, ninhydrin test. This is ninhydrin. Ninhydrin will interact with the amino acid group, giving a blue-violet colored product. Okay. And ninhydrin product will be like this. Ninhydrin product with the NH2 group will be like this. This is the ninhydrin product obtained. Ninhydrin product obtained reacting with the so-called molecule ninhydrin. It gives a coloration, right? These hints given regarding the nature of the molecules, we are supposed to identify which all molecules are referred in the choices based on the characteristic entities and their speciality of the artificial sweetener molecules, namely aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, and allitame, right? Next. The acidic, basic, and amphoteric oxides respectively. Acidic, basic, amphoteric oxide respectively. You know, this is basic, so that choice is out. This is acidic, basic, but that is also acidic. See, this is acidic, this is basic, this is also acidic, so out. This is acidic, this is basic, and this is amphoteric, and C is the correct answer. N2O3 is acidic, anhydride of nitrous acid. Li2O, basic, and alumina, we know Al2O3 is amphoteric in nature. Al2O3 is amphoteric in nature. C is the correct answer. Next. if enthalpy of atomization of Br2 liquid is x kilojoule per mole. So Br2 liquid enthalpy of atomization given x kilojoule per mole and bond enthalpy for Br2 is y kilojoule per mole. Then the relationship between a simple question. You see, Br2 liquid is converted to 2Br gas. This value is x kilojoule per mole. Right? Enthalpy of atomization and bond enthalpy of Br2. Bond enthalpy of Br2. See, this is first converted to Br2 gas and that is converted to Br2 2Br. This entire data, you see that is enthalpy of atomization, that is given as x, and this is given as y. You see that? It's very simple to understand if you know this logic. Enthalpy of atomization of bromine liquid, that means Br2 liquid converted to 2Br in the gaseous state. The value is x kilojoule per mole. While bond enthalpy for Br2 given, that means Br2 gas converted to 2Br gas, the value given is y. You can easily conclude simply looking at the arithmetic aspect of the reaction. You can easily conclude x is much greater than y, x is greater than y. Option C is the correct answer. Because energy will be definitely required for this process, no? It is simple mathematical idea, arithmetical idea. Okay. Next question. The electronic configuration of bivalent europium and trivalent cerium are bivalent europium, trivalent cerium are. Europium atomic number 63. So it is europium. Configuration will be a xenon core which is 54 and 9 more electrons left. It is going to be 4f7, 5d0, 6s2. This is the configuration for europium. You can refer the textbook. And we are talking about bivalent species EU2+. So the configuration will be xenon inner core with 4f7. This is the configuration. 4f7. And we got our answer, 4f7. Option B must be the answer. Let us examine cerium. Cerium, it is going to be again xenon configuration 54. Xenon configuration 54 plus 4 more electron. It will be 4f1, 5d1, 6s2. This is the configuration for cerium. You can examine. Textbook information you can examine. It's well explained in the textbook. Now we are talking about cerium trivalent. Cerium trivalent. So it will be cerium 3+. Now this electron gone and this electron gone. It will be xenon configuration and 4f1. 4f1. Yes, 4f7 and 4f1. That is the correct answer. Next. For the reactions, for the following reactions, two reactions are given. A 700 Kelvin product, B again A 500 Kelvin catalyst, a product. So first one is uncatalyzed. First reaction is uncatalyzed and the second reaction is catalyzed. It was found that EA decreased by 30 kilojoule per mole. EA decreased by 30 kilojoule per mole in the presence of catalyst. If the rate remain unchanged, what is the activation energy? That is a question. Rate remain unchanged. What is the activation energy? When the rate remain unchanged, K will remain unchanged. So K is equal to K dash. All of us know K is equal to A e raised to minus EA by RT. So it is A e raised to minus EA by RT1. And that is equal to A e raised to minus EA minus 30 divided by RT dash. So this is K for the first reaction uncatalyzed, and this is K dash for the second reaction catalyzed, right? So it is going to be AA cancels, E raised to minus EA by RT. This is RT simply. This is RT simply. There we can give T dash. So it is RT. RT means the temperature is 700, and that is equal to E raised to minus of EA minus 30 divided by RT dash. T dash, that is 500. That means minus EA by 700 is equal to minus of EA minus 30 divided by 500. R cancels. R cancels. The exponential term taken into the normal form. Both sides we do the same operation. Now you get EA by 7 is equal to EA plus 30 divided by 5. No, EA minus 30 by 5, because EA minus 30 by 5, the negative sign cancelled. So you get the answer. 5 EA equal to 7 EA minus 210. Therefore, 2 EA is equal to 210. Therefore, EA is equal to 105. What is asked for? What is asked for? Activation energy for catalyzed reaction. This is activation energy for the uncatalyzed reaction. EA is the activation energy for uncatalyzed reaction. You need activation energy for the catalyzed reaction. So it must be EA dash. That is EA minus 30. So it is 105 minus 30. The answer is option A, 75. Hope it's clear. Next. The increasing order of basicity for the following intermediates is from weak to strong. You are given with a tertiary carbanion. That is a tertiary trimethyl carbanion. There is allyl carbanion. There is acetyl carbanion. That is ethanyl carbanion. And CH3 minus, Cn minus. See, just by looking at the conjugate acid part, you can confirm which is weak. The most stronger acid among the following is HCN. See, this is the conjugate acid of this. So relatively this is stronger one. That means that will be weak one. 5 must be minimum. 5 must be minimum because the others are hydrocarbons. This is a mineral acid, HCN. So relatively HCN is a stronger acid and Cn minus must be weak. That is fifth one should come minimum. So you can eliminate option A, option D. 5 minimum, B or C. B or C. Now which will be maximum? Maximum will be, no doubt, this will be maximum. 1 will be maximum because it is a tertiary carbanion due to inductive effect. CH3, C minus, CH3, CH3. So this minus character will be maximum, and we can say that no doubt about it, isobutyl hydrocarbon, that is weakly acidic. Weakly acidic means the conjugate part is strong base. So minimum must be 5 and maximum must be 1, and your answer is option C. And what is the order? 5 minimum, next is 3. This is next. As we know, HCl triple bond CH. This has got a reasonable acidic character. But after this, this will be a stronger acid. That means the conjugate base will be weaker. Then after 3, then 2. This is allylic. Allylic is stable. Allylic. Then comes 4 and this comes maximum. When you compare this and this, it's quite easy to compare. So the answer is option C. Next. The major product Y in the following reactions is. Major product Y in the following reaction is. We start with an alkyne. We start with an alkyne. It is given CH3, CH3, C triple bond CH. This is treated with a sulfuric acid and mercuric sulfate. You know, it is a hydration process. As far as hydration of higher alkynes are concerned, you have learnt you are going to get a ketone. Ethine will give you ethanol. Higher alkynes will give you ketones. So what is the product obtained here is a ketone. CH3, C, CH3, CO, CH3. You get a ketone. First alkyne, ethine. Upon hydration, you get ethanol. Higher alkynes, you get a ketone. So this is ketone obtained and that is X. Now that is treated with the Grignard reagent followed by hydrolysis. A ketone with the Grignard reagent followed by hydrolysis, you are going to get a tertiary alcohol and the product obtained will be CH3, C, CH3, CO becomes COH and there is CH3 and this Grignard reagent part will appear here CH2CH3 because that is ethyl magnesium bromide. So ethyl group will appear and you get a tertiary alcohol. Now heated with the sulfuric acid means dehydration. This is heated with the sulfuric acid. It will undergo dehydration. It will undergo dehydration. You can find OH and H is removed. There will be a double bond over this region. You will get a double bond over this region. And the correct answer is CH3C, CH3 double bond. CH3C, CH3 double bond. C, CH3, CH2, CH3. The correct answer is option D. Option D. Seychef product. Most stable alkene predominant. Next. Which of these will produce highest yield Friedel-Crafts reaction? Highest yield with the Friedel-Crafts reaction. In choice 1, it is benzamide. Amide group is deactivating group. So out. Option B, phenol. Phenol is highly activating group. OH group is highly activating group. Option C, chlorobenzene. Chlorobenzene, chlorine is deactivating group. Deactivating group, but it is orthopara directive. Option D, aniline. Aniline is NH2 group activating group, right? So there are 2 activating group and 2 deactivating group. So the answer must be highest yield of Friedel-Crafts reaction. Friedel-Crafts reaction is a electrophilic substitution reaction. So B and D, they are activating group, OH group and NH2 group. But the problem here is they are out of the game. This is out of the game because it is highly activating group. Now these 2 groups are highly activating group, but still they are out of the game because they have a high sensitivity with the Lewis acid involved in Friedel-Crafts reaction. Friedel-Crafts reaction, we make use of a Lewis acid. And these groups, whether OH group or NH2 group, they have a high sensitivity with that Lewis acid. They will be interacting with that Lewis acid as they are having a basic nature with the lone pair of electron. And you know, when they are interacting with the Lewis acid, they get highly deactivated. So left with only one choice, that is Cl. As far as this is concerned, chlorine is deactivating group, but better compared to the other choice. Better compared to the other choice as it is giving plus resonance effect. Plus resonance effect. Actually, these are the deactivating groups. But the point here is, we are dealing with the Friedel-Crafts reaction. Friedel-Crafts reaction has got something special. What is the speciality? We are making use of a Lewis acid. That Lewis acid catalyst will interfere with the highly active OH group and NH2 group, and with that interaction, their activity is lost. So the answer is chlorobenzene. Next question. The compound that cannot act both as oxidizing and reducing agent. See, an element in a compound in its maximum oxidation state, it will only act as oxidizing agent. An element or a compound in its maximum oxidation state, it can only act as oxidizing agent, while an element in the minimum oxidation state, it will only act as reducing agent, while in between it can act as both. If you take option A, S3PO4, phosphorus is in the maximum state, so it is an oxidizing acid. If you take option B, HNO2, nitrogen is +3 state. Hope all of you know, nitrogen, the minimum value is -3 and maximum value is +5. In the +5 state, for example, nitric acid, HNO3, it only acts as oxidizing agent. In the -3 state, for example, ammonia, it can only act as reducing agent. While now it is in the intermittent state +3, it can act as both. It can act as both. What is our question? The compound that cannot act as. So this can act as. This can act as. This cannot act as. And this is our answer. S3PO4. That is our answer. It can only act as oxidizing agent, as phosphorus. Phosphorus belongs to nitrogen family. The minimum state is -3, maximum state is +5. Now it is in the +5 state, it can only act as oxidizing agent. Coming to other options, sulfur. Sulfur is +4 here. The minimum for sulfur is -2, maximum is +6. It can act as both. Oxygen. Oxygen in the -1 state. The minimum state for oxygen -2, maximum it may go to elementary state 0. So here it is in between. It can act as both. We know hydrogen peroxide can act as both oxidizing agent and a reducing agent. So all other choices except S3PO4, it can act as oxidizing agent as well as reducing agent. And our question is, which cannot? Answer is option A, S3PO4. Next. PDFClBr(I) 2- has, see, a complex is given. It is having n number of geometrical isomers. Then the spin-only magnetic moment and crystal field stabilization energy for FeCN6n-. FeCN6n-. We have to find out FeCN6n-. FeCN6n-6. We have to find out what is the spin-only magnetic moment and what is crystal field splitting energy, CFSC. We need to find out. We have to first of all should know what is N. Very simple. This complex is of the type MABCD. It's a mere textbook information. MABCD type complex give 3 isomers. MABCD type can give you n number of isomers. That is, it can give you 3 isomers. Textbook information, it is there as a fundamental point. We learn in the syllabus. MABACAD, 3 configuration. MABACAD, 3 configurations. So 3 geometrical isomers. So N is equal to 3. That means N is equal to 3. That means our complex is FeCN 6 times 3 minus 3 minus 6, 3 minus. Obviously, iron becomes plus 3. All of you know this is minus 1. So we are talking about iron 3 plus. Iron 3 plus configuration, you know, iron is D6S2. Iron 3 plus will be D5 configuration. Iron 3 plus will be D5 configuration. And it is an octahedral complex. Octahedral complex where cyanide is a strong field ligand. Therefore, it is going to be, the splitting will be large. Splitting will be large. This is T2g orbital and this is Eg orbital with reference to the baseline, with reference to the energy barrier. So this splitting will be large. Therefore, the 5 electron configuration will be so done. The 5 electron configuration will be so done. 1, 2, 3. The 4th electron is unable to jump as delta O is larger than pairing energy due to the presence of cyanide group. So 4th electron get paired up. 4, 5. So this is the electron system. There are 5 electrons. 5 electrons will be present in the T2g orbital. The T2g orbital contains the system 2, 2, 1, while Eg electron will be 0. So there is one unpaired electron. One unpaired electron will go for a magnetic moment 1.73. That itself give you the answer option C. Magnetic moment itself give you the answer option C. Now let us examine crystal field stabilization energy calculation. That's a usual question coming for the exam which is not in the textual content. Only the diagram is given. You see that? All of you know this is plus 3 by 5 delta O and this is minus 2 by 5 delta O. And calculating crystal field stabilization energy, you might have done in the class. It is minus 2 by 5 into the number of electrons here, 5 electrons, delta O. Any comment about the pairing energy? Ignore pairing energy. Ignore pairing energy. Actually, it has to be plus 2p. There are 2 electrons paired, 2 paired electrons. So you can ignore this. This you can ignore. So it is going to be minus 2 by 5 into 5. That is minus 2 delta O. Minus 2 delta O. That is crystal field stabilization energy. I think it's clear. Next. Identify A in the following reaction sequence. Identify A in the following reaction sequence. A gives positive iodoform test. Positive iodoform test is given by methyl ketones. There is a methyl keto group. There is a methyl keto group. There is a methyl keto group. Everybody contain methyl keto group. So all can give you iodoform test. So that clue is not enough. That clue is not enough. Now it is treated with the CS3-MgBr, then hydrolyzed, then heating with the sulfuric acid, then treated for ozonolysis, you get a final product. Ozonolysis final product. Ozonolysis final product. There is a bulky group here and here you get a aldehyde. See, by simple analysis, you will be able to understand A cannot be the answer because ozonolysis product will give you a cleavage over here, and if it is cleaving here, this is going to be a keto group over that side. The given is aldehyde. Let us examine option B. Let us examine option B to confirm our answer. Because there I find no branching here. Anyway, let us take and see. What given in option A, option B is, there is a benzene ring. There is a benzene ring. And there is a CS3 group here. There is a keto group here, like this. Now, it is treated with the CS3-MgBr. This is treated with the CH3-MgBr. that is a Grignard reagent interacting with the ketone, you will get a tertiary alcohol, and the product obtained will be a tertiary alcohol. This will be the product. A keto group will be converted to tertiary alcohol. Now that is treated with the Grignard reagent followed by hydrolysis. Now treated with the sulfuric acid. Now when it is treated with the sulfuric acid, there will be dehydration over this area. This OH group will be converted to OH2 plus and will be removed. So you're going to get like this, a benzene ring, a carbocation. See, this OH get protonated. This OH get protonated, immediately it is going to break as water molecule and you will get a carbocation like this. Now there is going to be electrophilic substitution. This part of the benzene ring will attack over there. You will get a molecule like this. Like this. Now this is treated for ozonolysis. This is treated for ozonolysis. I think we are close to the answer. This is treated for ozonolysis. You know, during ozonolysis, double bond will be broken and this carbon which is CH will be converted to CHO and this carbon which is C will be converted to CO group. And isn't that the final compound given? Benzene ring with a CHO. Benzene ring with a CHO. So let us examine the final compound given in the question. It is CHO here. And here there is a keto group. There is a keto group with the, yes, this contain 2-methyl group, and then there is a keto group. See this carbon, this I am labeling 1. This is carbon labeled 1 and this is carbon labeled 2. This is carbon labeled 2 and this is carbon labeled 3. Carbon labeled 3. Hope it is clear. And isn't that the final product obtained? Yes. 2 branching and CO group with the CS3. So this product can be obtained. That product can be obtained when the compound is option B, and that is the correct answer. Looking at a branching here, we can confirm A cannot be. You can cross check either B or C. You can cross check either B or C, while in A and D there is a group coming here. And upon investigation, simple mechanism reactions, your learned reactions only, you can confirm option B will be the starting compound. Next question. The molarity of nitric acid in a sample which has density 1.4 gram per ml and mass percentage of 63% is, you have to find the molarity. You have to find the molarity. What is given? Density is given. Density is given and mass percentage is given. You want to find the molarity. Very simple question and a very simple shortcut you have. Molarity is equal to percentage mass given into 10 into D divided by molar mass. M is molarity and this is percentage by mass given data into 10 into density given in gram per ml divided by molar mass of the compound. Over. What is the percentage mass given? It is 63 into 10 into density 1.4 divided by molar mass of, what is the compound? Nitric acid. Nitric acid molar mass is 63. So you get 14 as the correct answer. So simple shortcut equation you can make use of when percentage mass by percentage mass is given and density is given. Molarity is equal to percentage mass into 10 into D divided by molar mass. Next. Hardness of water sample containing 10 power minus 3 molar magnesium sulfate expressed as calcium carbonate equivalent ppm is. See, hardness is referred always in terms of a calibration of calcium carbonate, right? The point is 1 mole magnesium sulfate is equivalent to 1 mole calcium carbonate. Both are divalent characters. So here it is 10 power minus 3 molar, and that means here it is 10 power minus 3 molar equivalent. So it is 10 power minus 3 mole per liter. That is 10 power minus 3 into 100 gram per liter, where 100 is the molar mass of calcium carbonate. 100 is the molar mass of calcium carbonate. Number of moles into molar mass will give you mass. So this is this much of gram per liter. And you know ppm is milligram per liter. That is ppm. So convert that into milligram. So the final answer will be 10 power minus 3 into 100 into 10 power 3 milligram per liter. Grams I have converted to milligram. So the answer is 100 ppm. 100 ppm. So 1 mole magnesium sulfate is equivalent to 1 mole calcium carbonate. So 10 power minus 3 molar magnesium sulfate is equivalent to 10 power minus 3 molar calcium carbonate. That is 10 power minus 3 mole per liter. 10 power minus 3 into 100 gram per liter. 100 is the molar mass of calcium carbonate. Now ppm is milligram per liter. So it is converted to milligram. You get 100. Next. How much amount of NaCl should be added to 600 gram of water? So we have to find the mass of NaCl. Should be added to 600 gram of water to decrease the freezing point of water by minus 0.2 degrees Celsius. Freezing point depression constant Kf value is given. So that is delta Tf is equal to I into Kf into molality. Here we include I factor because it is NaCl. Assuming 100% ionization, I factor can be taken as 2. So it will be delta Tf, that is delta Tf, freezing point is minus 0.02, therefore delta Tf is 0.2. See the freezing point, this is the freezing point. Therefore delta Tf will be 0.2 because delta freezing point will be 0 degree minus delta Tf. Freezing point will be 0 degree minus delta Tf. Therefore delta Tf will be 0.2. 0.2 is equal to I factor for NaCl, assuming 100% ionization, 2 into Kf given, 2 into molality, mass of solute into 1000 divided by molar mass of solute into mass of solvent. Let A be the solvent and B be the solute. We want to get this data. And this data is given how much? 600. And this data is known to you, NaCl, 58.5. You can get the mass of B. 0.2 equal to 2 into mb 1000 by molar mass of solute 58.5 Ma data given. You can find out this easily. You can calculate 1.74 as the answer. Next. 108 gram silver is deposited at a cathode from silver nitrate solution by a certain quantity of electricity. The volume in liters of oxygen gas produced at 273 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure from water by the same quantity of electricity is. You see, silver reacted is 108 gram. 108 gram. That means 1 mole. You are getting 1 mole silver reacting. 1 mole silver is 1 equivalent silver. the quantity of electricity is 1 Faraday. So the quantity of electricity is 1 Faraday. Now, as far as oxygen is concerned, if you want to get 1 mole oxygen, you need 4 Faraday. Because 1 mole oxygen is 4 equivalents. It's very easy to understand. Oxygen is a divalent species. Such 2 divalent species combine to get oxygen gas. So what is the N factor? N factor is 2 plus 2, 4. That N factor is generally appearing here. Here the N factor is 1. Therefore it is 1 Faraday. Suppose you are dealing with the zinc. It is N factor 2. 1 mole will require 2 Faraday. So 1 mole zinc requires 2 Faraday. 1 mole silver requires 1 Faraday. 1 mole oxygen gas requires 4 equivalent, that is 4 Faraday. So what is the point here? Volume in liter at STP. Volume in liter at STP. You see, to get 22.4 liter, you need 4 Faraday. Therefore, how much liter you will get if it is 1 Faraday? The quantity of electricity is 1 Faraday. 4 Faraday, you can get 22.4 liter. Or to be precisely 22.7 liters. 1 Faraday, how much it is? You get your answer. It is divided by 4. 22.4 divided by 4 will take you to the answer 5.66 liters. Next question. That is the last question. The mass percentage of nitrogen in histamine is. Mass percentage of nitrogen in histamine is. See, this type of question we see in all sessions, in all the shift examination conducted in this JEE 2020 exam. A molecule from the biomolecules or chemistry in everyday life, even before, we have seen how aspartame, saccharin, sucralose taken into consideration, the structural entity of those molecules taken for a question. Similarly, we find the last question here. Mass percentage of nitrogen in histamine. Without knowing histamine, you can't answer. Without knowing histamine structure to be like this. It is a textbook given, the structure of histamine given in the textbook, right? This is the structure of histamine. You must know this structure, or you must know the molecular formula to find out what is the percentage of nitrogen. To find out what is the percentage of nitrogen. So, percentage of nitrogen is equal to, there are how many nitrogen atoms? 3 nitrogen atoms. So it will be 3 into 14 divided by molar mass of this compound into 100. So you have to find the molar mass of this compound. Once you know the structure, absolutely no problem. Simple question. Once you know the structure, absolutely no problem. Simple question. Percentage of nitrogen is equal to number of nitrogen atom into the mass 14 divided by total molar mass into 100. So if you find the molar mass of the molecule, of course if you know the structure, if you find the molar mass of the molecule, need not structure, formula is enough. Or if you know the molar mass, it's enough. But we don't go through like that, no? So if you remember the structure, if you can get the molar mass, you get your answer. There are how many nitrogen atoms? Make a count. What is the total molar mass? Find out and you get your answer. And you can cross check with your answer. Okay? These are the questions which came for this shift examination. One of the prominent point we have to notice is, as I told, From the chapter Chemistry in Daily Life, so many molecules are meticulously taken for preparing certain questions. Otherwise, the questions are normally moderate. Some 1 or 2 questions are above average. Not so tough questions are available. There are many easy questions present. Right? That's all from the particular paper. Okay? Bye.